What's up, man?
What's up?
So we are on location again, and I'm sitting with Danny Rubalcaba. He's one of the owners of ALIO Fitness Club, and we are on location. We're in the gym right now, man, and it's kind of quiet because it's after hours, and again we are in quarantine, and so we're gonna get into that a little bit. But introduce yourself, tell us where we're at, what you guys do here, and describe a little bit about ALIO.
Cool, man. Yeah. So, name is Danny. This is our fitness club, ALIO Fitness Club. It's a modern boutique gym. So basically what we are is just a smaller gym, but we accommodate up to 16 people per group. We do 4 to 5 classes per day, and our concept is personal training in a small group setting.
Okay.
So the objective is to be able to take care of our clients, to know every single person by name, know them by limitations, be able to modify for them, and include the appropriate exercises that best suit their body needs.
Okay. So it's exclusive.
Correct.
It's not a typical gym where they pay and they can come as they go and do.
Right. It's not an open gym. We just offer either one-on-one private training or the small group personal training.
Cool. And so it's you and your partner, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about how long have you been open?
This is our 4th year.
4 years. And same location?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's kind of go do origin story. So how did you meet Sam?
Met Sam at UTSA, so it was our sophomore year.
Yeah.
We were both studying kinesiology and exercise science. And so he was already top trainer in the nation for Spectrum at the time.
Okay.
And then they switched over to Gold's Gym. He had followed through with Gold's Gym. As soon as we got into our senior year in college, we already started working on the development of what we wanted for after college.
Yeah.
And both of us wanted to go into business. He's a double major, so he also has a business major as well.
Okay.
And we've always had a passion for fitness. We just wanted to take it to that next level. So we already had the whole business layout by the time we graduated from UTSA of what we wanted ALIO Fitness Club to be.
Mm-hmm.
We just needed to get our foot in the door and be able to open it up and then start the first stage, which is what we see now.
Right.
And then venture into the second stage, which is where we're going to be in probably 10 to 12 months.
Okay. So where did you come up with this concept, though? Was it something that you had seen somewhere else? Because I think it's kind of it's different, right? Like it's not something that everybody else does. And I know there's a lot of CrossFit gyms and other things, but why this type of...
we wanted to go against the grain, which would be the typical, you have quantity, but you lose quality.
Yeah.
We wanted to be the opposite. We have more quality, not so much quantity.
Right.
So we wanted to appeal to the right type of people, have everybody that can come in and that we know that we can take care of them the correct way.
Yeah.
And it's not just another gym per se.
Okay.
We respect all other fitness clubs and other gyms that are in San Antonio. We have a lot of friends that operate them as well.
Right.
But our main theory was we want to be able to take care of everybody here and create programs, not just memberships. That way we can actually help people get to their goals, give them a set guideline, use science behind it, and structure the program that best suits them individually.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the things that caught my eye was one, because my background's marketing, so it was kind of like the look of it, the name, the branding, how, because my wife came here first, so it was kind of like just checking it out on the website. So that's what caught my eye. Where did the name come from?
So ALIO in Latin means purpose.
Okay.
And we wanted something that was sleek, simple to remember, looks good on marketing and T-shirts, and is different,
Yeah, no, for
and
sure.
So we both agreed on that. We fell in love with the name, and we ran with it.
Okay. Give me a little history with you and Sam, kind of when you guys were developing the business plan, the concept in school. I mean, like, did y'all just click and y'all were in the class together, or how did that?
Yeah, we had some classes together, and we became real good friends right off the bat. We'd hang out a lot, and we'd go out, and we just became close friends. And honestly, throughout college, we already knew, we were like, all right, let's get this degree and get straight to it. We were very set on saving money, making sure that we had everything going into this, making sure our credit was good. I mean, the whole 9 yards, everything that everyone's out partying, and we were very focused on what we wanted to have right after college. So we made those sacrifices. He was going to be getting married, I was going to be getting married, so we knew we had all these things coming up.
Yeah.
We just had to make sure the wives were on board. We had a set mind, And that way, when we graduated, we already had a game plan. And it was 2 years after we graduated that we went into doing this.
Okay. So before we get into there, so what what were kind of jobs were y'all working while y'all were in school, while you were kind of like saving, like you said, and like doing all that? What were you doing?
So Sam was training. He was a
Okay.
trainer at Gold's Gym.
Okay.
And as soon as I had graduated from college, I was training out of, it's actually the same spot,
Okay.
but it was a different gym at the time.
Okay.
And I was your contract trainer, you know. I was
Okay.
just paying rent. I had my clients. And they also did group sessions. It was just large group sessions. And so I would run some of those classes as well. And the owners of that gym, they wanted to either close up the gym or hand it off to somebody that they knew could take care of it.
Okay.
And so that's where I came in, and I ended up taking over that facility for 2 years. That was right after college, so it kind of got me, you know, into the door as far as
You were
business
managing
wise.
that spot?
Actually, I owned it. After,
You owned it. Okay.
So I took over that for 2 years completely, and I didn't have any business per se experience. I had clients, and I knew I had X amount to make every month and pay out X amount as well. And so
Yeah.
I kept it afloat for 2 years. But I learned a lot about local business. Sam knew a lot about corporate business because he was working with Golds.
Yeah.
And we both, you know, of course, kept in touch with everything. Our main objective was to learn the flaws of the systems and how we can make it better.
Yeah.
And so I would take note of, okay, this is, you know, problems that I see coming up with local business. These are situations that occur, whether it's whatever it might be, different contracts, membership questions, things that could arise.
Yeah.
And his were a lot of like compensation plans, structure, you know, policies, things like that he could carry over.
Yeah.
And so he was able to really help guide everything as far as business-wise came.
Yeah.
And we set each other's roles, knew exactly where we were going to be best at.
Yeah.
And we just pretty much stuck to that plan the whole way through. And we've just every year tried to one-up the following year and, you know, continue growth and keeping that quality up the whole time.
Yeah. So you talked about you guys getting the wives on board and whatnot. So both of y'all got married around the same time, or?
Yeah, about a year apart.
Okay. All right. Because I think I'm talking about the support system, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
It was tough.
starting something like this, and then, you know, or even kind of planning it and talking about, because it's a very nice gym, bro, and you got like, you know, top of the line equipment and whatnot. So like you guys set your mind to something, but it was a lot of planning and then getting everybody on board. How did that come about?
So the first gym, which was in the same spot again, that was the year I actually got married.
Okay.
So there was a lot of, it could have gone one or the other, you know?
Yeah.
And wife was on board. She was like, all right, if that's what you want to do. I'd saved up some money. Parents helped out as well. It's just a lot that went into making sure that I could keep that place up and going.
Yeah.
And then from there, when Sam and I got into ALIO, we were actually hoping, you know, to get the funding from the banks and all that. And we thought everything would be good. I already had a business for 2 years. We both had good credit. We had money saved up. But we learned, like, going in with a brand new LLC and a partnership that
history.
Yeah, they didn't want to help us out at all.
Yeah.
And that's where it became really tough, because that was an eye-opener for us, and the banks were not going to give us money that we needed to get this open. I mean, we had this all laid out. We knew what the construction was going to cost. We knew what the equipment was going to cost. And Sam pretty much went and opened up like 10 credit cards in his name. I opened up like 5, and we just ran those to the grave. I mean, we maxed them all out. Like, that's the only way we could do it. And we took, it was like $20,000 the bank gave us, and that was it. And the total build out with equipment and everything was, you know, was about $250,000. So we were like pennies on end, you know?
Sure.
And we liquidated everything that we had that we didn't need at home, furniture, stuff like that, whatever we could sell to scrape up more money to invest in this. And we literally went all in.
All in.
And that was the best and worst time of my life, because I didn't know, like, sacrifice until then. I'd always been used to just grinding, hustling, working as hard as I could, making whatever I could make, always in the best situation for myself. And so being married already now for 2.5 years, 2 years, I had to sell my wife's car. She was upset because, I mean, that's her car. She worked for that, but we didn't need that extra payment. We couldn't afford it.
Right.
I sold my car. We ended up pretty much selling all the furniture and everything we had at home. And that was one thing that, like, you know, we both prided. We liked our stuff, and it was like to let it all go and then to get nothing for it in return. It was just kind of like, all right, make sure you know what you're doing and remember the end goal and the purpose.
Right.
But we actually moved back in with my parents for a whole year, which was, you know, as the man, it's like, oh gosh, like it's humbling, you know.
Yeah,
you got to really take steps back, and
the wife's got to be on board with that.
She's got to be on board with that. Luckily, my parents are real cool, and she's real, you know, respectful of them, and it actually worked out a lot better than most people would think.
Sure.
So it was cool. It's just, you know, 27 years old and you're 26, and you got to tell people, well, you still live at my home, you know, my parents and my wife, but the bigger picture is the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we didn't pay ourselves much the first year, like literally $500 a month, and that was it. And that's the most we could afford. And I'll never forget. It was funny because the bank called me. I had 3 accounts before we opened up the gym, and I was always low. I mean, every dime I make goes right into the gym, into the gym. You know, we had to build and pay everything back.
Yeah.
And they called me one day and they're like, it's actually costing you more money to keep these 3 accounts open because you keep going into the negatives. They're like, we're going to need you to go ahead and close one out so that we can keep your account afloat.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that was like my all-time low.
Yeah.
I was like, living at home with my parents. I don't have a car. I was like, man, this is the lowest.
Yeah.
But opening the doors every day to the gym and seeing people get results and, you know, finally seeing the numbers start to grow in the right direction that we wanted, getting positive, feedback from different members, and, you know, just hearing the stories that people were already starting to develop. And that's always what kept my fire going. And the wife was supportive the whole way through. His wife was supportive. I mean, you can't do that alone.
Right.
And so it was a whole year of being able to just say, you know what, I have everything I need. I don't need everything I want. Right. But I have this big picture that we have, you know, and we got a long way to go. So let's just roll with it.
Well, that takes a lot of discipline, and I think that comes from your training, right? Like,
right.
I mean, so a little bit, I did a little research, right? So you started training like in high school, right? Like, I mean, where you started doing competitions and all kinds of stuff?
Yeah, bodybuilding, that was my first passion. I started doing that in high school.
Okay.
I was, you know, not the most athletic. I wasn't bad. I just, you know, I had shoulder limitations, and so they would always dislocate.
Okay.
And doctor would tell me, like, no more doing sports. And I still wanted to compete, you know, and do things that could challenge me.
Yeah.
Nobody was doing bodybuilding in high school. That's, like, almost unheard of.
Right, yeah.
And I've always been about being different and venturing off in different ways.
Yeah.
And so I always liked fitness in general, just working out and eating healthy. And I was always kind of out of the norm as far as my friends went. I was constantly watching what I ate and, you know, staying as most active as I could.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, you know what, I'll just go into bodybuilding. So
in high school?
Yeah.
And you went to high school here in San Antonio?
MacArthur.
Went to MacArthur. And when was your first competition?
That was my freshman year in college.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I trained all senior year in high school.
Wow.
And found a good coach to guide me through all of that. And he had a really reputable team of clients that he'd worked with that he'd put on stage, and they'd all done really well. Okay. And so I competed with that team. We went off to do like a city competition and won my first competition. So that was like a big, like, all right, I found something I'm good at, and it doesn't injure my shoulder. So let's keep going. And I am competitive by nature. I always want to try to be the best that I can be and whatever it is. Yeah. And so that I really, really enjoyed, and got into my second year of that and did a state competition, which was a bigger show. It's basically the winners from the smaller cities, and then they go to compete at state level. When you win a state level, then you go to nationals, and then you go to pro. Yeah. So got to do the state competition, came in second place, and I mean, that's a harder competition to go through, and it taught me a lot about discipline. I mean, I would work out 3 hours a day. I'd have to wake up in the morning, do my hour of Stairmaster, go to class, and then get out from class, come train people in the afternoon, work out after that, and then go do homework or study, and then come back to the gym at like 10 o'clock at night and do Stairmaster again for another hour. So it was like all day, you know? Yeah. On top of eating healthy and meal prepping and everything else. So.
And you started training at that time, or? Yeah. That's insane, man. As far as the amount of hours, like, you know what I mean, that in one day.
Yeah, it was like anywhere from 18 to 21 hours a week of just gym dedication. Like, that's your lifestyle.
So Sam's background kind of as a business, like what did he do before Spectrum and Gold? Like what was?
Just the regular jobs, things like that. You
Okay.
know, yeah.
Okay.
But he's been in fitness going on 12 years now.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of his main thing. He went right into.
Okay.
And he's even more competitive than I am. So you know, his main thing was being number one always. And there's thousands of trainers. So for him to be number one out of San Antonio, I mean, that's huge. You know.
Yeah. I think I told you one of my cousins worked there with him. Yeah. So, and when I told him I was coming over here, he was like, "Oh, that's Sam. That's Sam." And
yeah.
I was like, "Yeah." I was like, you know, and he was like, "Yeah." And I used to work with him. So I think the journey part, like getting to where you're at now. How many members do you have now?
We got up to about 131, 132.
Okay. What was like when you guys started? What were like? What was the goal? Like you said, okay, if we get here, we're doing okay, and we're on to the next thing.
Our capacity is 150, so we've always wanted to stay between 125 and 150.
Okay.
And we've rode that number for the last year and a half.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about right now, current quarantine and me being a member. Kind of was on the way here when they closed you guys down. What let the audience know, like, what have y'all been doing since then? Kind of, you know, how you're implementing keeping members and whatnot.
Well, we've always wanted, again, to go above and beyond, make sure that we take care of members first. So what we've done is created compensation plans for our members, like an incentive program. So based on their membership tier, they receive, whether it's additional classes when they return, even private training, and access to, it's a new app that we're branding for y'all. It's going to have a full exercise portal of auxiliary workouts that you can do at home as well on your own, with a library of exercises that we've uploaded, as well as the software from the company. And that way it's just extra to kind of get everybody back on track again, help them go the extra mile and keep them motivated, you know, coming back. That's the hard part, is you've been off for X amount of time, you've been doing your own workouts, and to come back into the gym routine and get everything, you know, going back to normal is what we're trying to get.
I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people that, you know, either had a gym membership or did something similar, or like they did their own workouts. I think there's a lot of pent up people who just want to get back in the gym. But like also they're also looking at, I mean, like we were talking about earlier, like the home gym equipment is like it's sold out, right?
Yep.
So I mean, do you see that as a challenge or something that where more people start working out from home, that this doesn't, you know what I mean? Like that it changes a little bit after we get back to.
I think if anything, it's good, because a lot of people that did have home equipment before probably never used it, and now they're actually using it. So it's like, all right, now they've got both worlds. You know, they can work out here, work out there. So I think people are going to get faster results coming back into the gym.
Yeah.
The other thing is that being not able to find the equipment shows you that there's the demand for it, which means there's a demand to stay healthy and keep working out. So I think coming back into opening again, we should get a good volume of people coming back into this facility.
Yeah. No, I think so too. I think, you know, because Jen and I were talking about it, and we said, you know, even if we did get equipment and whatnot, we were like, we would just supplement. It would just be, we would do both, right? So now, like, I think you're right. Everybody wants to be more healthy. We're actually using it. We're like, we can. And
the two main things are accountability, and, you know, that's one of them. So accountability is going to be us as trainers, fitness professionals, guiding you, making sure that you know exactly what you're doing. And that's why we're going to have that app available. And then when you come back into the classes, you know how we run the structure of it.
So, but you weren't planning that app, correct? Like before?
No, we were, because we figured that we would still be closed down for anywhere for 2 to 3 months. So we didn't want to assume.
No, but before, like,
Corona. Oh, before this? No.
Yeah. So before that, you kind of had an inkling of like, hey, they might shut us down. What went through y'all's mind?
Before we got shut down, I guess our concern was just, number one, making sure that all of our members stay healthy while we're shut down.
Right.
And number two, making sure that we keep as many of them on board while we're shut down.
Right.
That's the whole thing. And luckily, I mean, when you create an atmosphere like this, you have supportive, long-lasting members. Yeah. And I know it's hard on a lot of people, and we've heard a lot of stories. People have lost their jobs. Spouses have lost their jobs. Hours get cut back, things like that.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, everyone's at the same type of risk. You know, this is our livelihood. Like, this is what Sam and I bleed for to make sure that we keep the doors open and we keep prospering here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a big setback, but it's nothing that's going to tear us down or, take us apart. All we have to do is keep thinking how to become more inventive and creative and open up new opportunities. So really what this has taught us is how to become recession proof and how to become pandemic proof.
Yeah.
And that's our job, as business owners and trainers, is to keep thinking, not just sit back and kind of wait for things to unravel.
Yeah.
And we've done a good job with that. I mean, we've never stopped working. We're still here at the gym, 6-7 hours a day.
Yeah. No, and I think that's that's important, is that mindset. And I've talked a lot about that on this podcast, but I think that's a little bit that sets you apart, you and Sam, with this business, is that y'all do think differently as far as how, like, just when I walked in the doors, man, like the way that this place is set up and the equipment that you have here, that's, to me, I'm like, okay, it's different. Like that's how I felt it. And when started the class, or I started private training with you first. So I got to kind of feel the gym, but not in a group setting. So it was a little bit different. But when I stopped and then decided I kind of missed it. Yeah. I was like, man, I miss it, but I don't want to do the private training. And I thought, you know what, let me try the group training. And it felt the same way. They're just other people in the class, you know what I mean? So it did feel a little bit different. But I just think that y'all's mindset with that and how fast y'all reacted, with everything that went down. Because I have, friends that are business owners as well that was having the same conversations of not trying to lose people and what do we do? And it's the same thing for us, you know what I mean, as agents and whatnot. But I think it's just a matter of staying in front of the people that are paying clients or members, and providing some value. And I think y'all guys do that. What you talked about 12 months from now. What's phase 2?
Expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a bigger platform for what we're doing.
Okay.
Include personal trainers. And you've seen the aesthetics of what we've created here. We just want to reamp that and make it into something even more modern, just trying to always stay above the trend and make sure that we have the most that we can offer our members. And
so even with right now what's going on, y'all are already secure. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
Yep, we've already been working on the next level.
Okay.
And that's always been our plan. So
yeah, that's awesome, man. Give me another story as far as struggle with, like, just current. I know, the pandemic part is probably the biggest one right now. But you and Sam relationship, has it always been?
It's always good.
Roses?
It's like it's interesting because we know each other's strengths, we know each other's weaknesses, and no matter how stressed out he gets or I get or whatever, we come down to we're still boys,
Yeah.
And our friendship always comes first, and that's the most important part. Yeah. And I remember when we first linked up, a lot of people were like, don't partner up with your best friend or family members, things go south, like you'll lose that relationship and that's it.
Yeah.
But I think it just comes down to a level of respect and a level of understanding, and it's just like, a marriage. You got to put in the effort to make it work, and you've got to be able to understand and listen to their side of the view. But Sam's a smart dude, man, and I usually never test him or try to judge what he's doing. I just assume he knows what he's doing, and I roll with that. I always tell him he's the captain of the ship. I set the sails. We keep the boat on the right pathway.
Yeah.
I like customer relationships, so I like handling situations. If somebody calls or is upset or has questions and concerns, I handle that. Sam's the software, the business, the management, making sure that we have everything on track as far as numbers go. And then, together we just roll like that. Like, he's never given me really any issues at all in the whole process of everything. I know when we first started, it was a little shaky just because I was a lot more laid back. I was a lot more, because I was used to that. I didn't have any structure. I didn't have any corporate training. I was on my own from ground one.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anybody telling me like, hey, that's not as professional, or let's tone that down, or let's do this instead, or hey, you have to enforce these policies because you can't have people stepping over you. Like, you're the business owner, like,
Yeah.
And I was a people pleaser before Sam. I wanted to make sure that everybody had, they were correct no matter what.
Yeah.
And I would lose money doing that because you can cancel early, things like that, And so that's where I learned a lot from Sam as far as like business structure and sticking to our policies and why you have them. It's to keep your business afloat.
Yeah.
And so he's taught me a lot over the last 4 years, and together, I mean, we've done a phenomenal job. We made top 5 best gym in San Antonio 3 years in a row, the last 3 years. So that's a huge accomplishment. There's like over 400 gyms in San Antonio.
Wow. That's cool because y'all complement each other then, because like so it's that yin and yang. Not all partnerships end up like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, very few,
Yeah.
But it's been great, man. I would partner up with him in anything else, and he knows that too. And we've always talked about that. The gym is not all we want to do.
Right.
Like we do have other plans ahead that are not even gym related.
Okay.
Still fitness, but not gym related.
Like business plans?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And so we're always working on other things. Even we operate this facility, but we dedicate time aside from that to keep growing. We want big picture goals. We have a lot of dreams that we know we have to, accomplish.
Yeah.
And time's always ticking. So
yeah,
our job is to just stay on our toes. And even on the days that we're tired or feel lazy, like, hey, support one another, help each other, and motivate one another.
So siblings?
Yeah, I have a sister. He has a sister. He has 2.
Okay. You the youngest, oldest?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest. And him?
He's also the oldest.
Okay. So did you have kind of entrepreneurship, in the family, or?
We're just, so his mom, yes, she owned a restaurant, and so he's got a lot of that from her.
Okay.
Me, I mean, I was like from no one in my family really.
Okay.
But that's just how I came out, like I've never had a quote unquote real job per se. High school, it was funny, 9th grade, freshman year, iPods were the big thing. So I got into selling accessories for iPods because I knew a lot of kids were getting iPods. Yeah. So I would sell that. Sophomore year, that's when you get your car and, you start learning how to drive. And I didn't have the funding or the money to get the nice trucks or cars that, some of the other people had, but stereo systems were what set it apart. You could have the ugly car, but you had a good stereo system. Like you could park next to the nice cars, Yeah. So I got into selling stereo systems. And I would go to local electronic stores and see what inventory they had that they had a hard time selling and say, hey, if you give me a good deal on this, I'll buy it from you at this price, and then I'll send the people here to get it installed by you so they can still make money, Yeah. And so I started doing that, and then from there, junior year was shoes, LeBrons and Jordans, and I became the shoe guy, started learning about shoes and different styles and which were valued higher than others, and that's what I started doing online. I took it, I couldn't sell to everybody in high school, but online is where I started selling shoes, and it was great. I did amazing with that. Yeah. And
were you like stashing? I had a friend that would stash like sneakers like in cabinets and all kinds of places.
Oh man, I had like probably over 200, 300 pairs of shoes at a time. It was nuts. Yeah, my parents, I would keep a lot of shoes at home or in the, garage and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, shoes were real big to me. Yeah. And then senior year, I started bodybuilding and competing, and it took a lot of my time away from that. So I actually got into valet parking. So I would park for different people at nightclubs and restaurants and venues. I love cars. Like, that's like my biggest thing. Okay. So I always said I wanted to get into something with vehicles, Yeah. And that's down the road also. But so valet parking cars, I loved it. It's just straight cash, like, tips. Sure. That's pretty much what you work for. You build relationships with people, and I did end up getting like my first quote unquote real job. At the time I went to work for GNC. So I would do GNC and that, but the GNC was so that I could develop relationships with people and start training them. Yeah. And so that worked out in my favor as well. So I've always had a plan and how I can link things up to kind of keep me always where I want to be. Yeah. And then while I was bodybuilding in college, that's when I got into selling cars. Okay. So I didn't work for a company or anything. I was just kind of on my own. I'd buy cars that I had interest in. Okay. Fix them up a little and flip them for profit, things like that.
Cool. That's interesting because I have a couple of friends that they do that, but it's kind of like a side, like just every now and then, and I'm like, I didn't really think about that.
And there's a lot of risk in it, but there's a lot of reward in it too. I've had a lot of really cool cars. I got to restore 69 Mustang, and I've had Corvettes, I've had 24 different vehicles, and buy and sell, and that was always like, I always had a blast doing that. You learn about what to look for when you're buying a car. So then if anybody that I know is buying a car, I'm like, let me go with you first. You know? You get to know what to check for.
My brother-in-law, that's his thing too. Like Jen always gets his opinion on that too.
Yeah, so I never did that like to try to make a living out of it, but that was always a hobby of mine. And it's funny because now that we're in this pandemic and everything shut down, like I'm ADHD, man. Like I'm all over the place. Like I have to be doing something all, where I can't just sit at home and watch TV.
Yeah.
And so I drive my wife nuts, right? Because my dad always raised me to be handy, building things, and I had no idea I could build furniture.
Yeah.
But I got into building furniture, man. And so I started making rustic furniture, for example. And it started with just stuff for myself at home.
Yeah.
And then, me just being me, I'd post stuff online and just show it, what I've made. And next thing I know, I've got projects going for other people. And I'm like, man, I got to stick to the fitness,
It's what happens when you start, picking up other projects and different little businesses.
Because you want to be good at them. And so I start making these things. And I'm like, I take a lot of time to build and make sure that it's perfect. And, I want it to be a certain way and my own kind of image of what I want furniture to look like, and it's just cool.
Yeah, no, I like all the stuff you post, because I told Jen at one time I wanted to refurbish stuff, like buy old stuff like at garage sales or those things, and come back and like you did with the cars, like just kind of like fix them up and then sell it or whatever. But and Sam is from Corpus?
He's from Corpus, yeah.
Okay. So when you're talking about like, because you spend a lot of hours here, both you and Sam. I mean, like, so what's your downtime look like?
Right now, both him and I, man, we've been going at it in stocks.
Really?
Yeah. That's our new obsession.
Okay.
Is learning, day trading and all the different stocks and what's up, what's down, and trends, and so that's really what we've been doing with our downtime. Literally, like every minute that we have.
I have a friend, he's Eddie. Does the same thing. He's the same, like, and he actually was he was fixing a table the other day too. So y'all have the same stuff in common right now. But as far as like with you and your wife, like, I mean, traveling, I know I've seen y'all take some trips and whatnot. And
I'm glad we did, man. We chose last year to be our trip year. And what I like about Sam is that, not that I'm boring, but I'm in my little zone, like where I'm comfortable doing little things,
Yeah.
Sam likes to do big things.
Yeah.
He likes to have fun, and I like that because I wouldn't do those kind of things typically without
he pushes
him.
You.
You know, like bottle service and stuff like that. Like I'm like, all right, I'll go to the club. I don't really dance a whole lot. You know, he likes to dance, and he's always got to do it big, man.
That's
so
cool.
It's cool when we go out because it's like, all right, you feel like a little entourage with Sam, But we got to do Vegas twice. We did San Francisco, which was really cool.
Yeah.
We always make memories, and it's like the unplanned memories.
Yeah.
Went out to go bar hopping, and got to see a bunch of really cool things, and stayed up late. We pulled an all-nighter. Went to go see the original. What is it? Danny Tanner or whatever, from Full House.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? That's a little before my time.
Sure. Forgot his name. For the actor.
That guy. Yeah, we went to his house to go see it, smoked a cigar out there, and it was cool. It's just stuff that you don't really do every day.
Yeah.
And we went to San Jose for Fitness Expo.
Okay.
So that's actually like one of the reasons you can see we have these Jacob ladders and things like that.
Yeah.
To go kind of check out some up and coming fitness equipment. And
do y'all do that on a regular? Because I know that would be fun for me. Like
it'd be cool to be able to just get up and go whenever you want, but it's just us two, so it's hard. Because if we're gonna do stuff like that, we both need to go.
Sure.
And that would mean we need to shut down the gym. So it's like, all right, we can only do those kind of things during like, holidays over the weekend, for example.
Right.
But yeah, that was cool. We got to do that. And then my wife and I did New York. We did Cancun.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got to go to a lot of different places.
Yeah. I mean, I just think about, sometimes I'll see you coming in the morning and I'm like, I know you just went to bed like at, like 3-4 hours before that. So I just the hours that you guys put in, I just wonder like how you keep kind of going and sustainable with that. You know what I mean?
You have your purpose, and that purpose motivates you and drives you. I mean, the moment you get lazy and you sit back and you get comfortable is when you stop growing.
Yeah. And
you've always got to keep that bigger picture, and every single day is a day that you can make yourself better or worse. Yeah. And I don't like to waste days, and neither does he. Yeah. I mean, we'll go out and we'll stay up late, and it's like, oh, you got to wake up in the morning, but you got to do it, you know? Yeah. People are counting on you. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's times where it's hard to go to sleep, and I've pulled all-nighters before, and then bam, have the class at 5 a.m., and I got to do it, Yeah. But it's a lot of it's discipline
Yeah.
and yeah, it helps. Like we are young, so might as well have that work ethic now and
Right.
burn ourselves out if we need to. But we have a long way to go still. So
Sure. No, I mean, I think that the discipline and the mindset are definitely helpful when you have a partner that complements you and that you're able to, keep creating and keep growing. I think those are the challenges that stop, a business or whatnot, when you try to do too much and then you don't really have, like you said, the purpose of like kind of driving you, because there's so many aspects of the business that can distract you. Favorite workout, like you've been, you know what I mean, like you bodybuilding and whatnot. What do you, do you compete with Sam?
no, we're two different people, man. So
Okay.
he's got me beat in cardio. Like I wouldn't even try to mess with that. You
Really?
know? Yeah.
Like what?
I don't know. He's like a little honey badger, man. Like it's hilarious because.
Like he can go longer than you on Jacob's ladder?
Yeah. He'll go until he pops blood vessels, man. Like I'm like, dude, you're gonna die. Chill. But no, he's good.
Yeah.
With cardio.
Okay.
I'm more weights. You know.
Yeah.
That's that. I like heavier weightlifting more.
But squat, bench, what? What's your favorite?
Well, I used to be all about, numbers and that. And as you get older, you start realizing it's more about joints and not killing yourself in the gym.
Yeah.
But I love the whole hit, the high intensity interval training, the functional training, the overall exercises that are going to benefit you long term, not just to look good short term at the sake of tearing up your joints. I've already done that, Okay. Bodybuilding definitely jacked up some of my joints because now I feel it, I'm not competing anymore and it's like, I gotta warm up
when
longer.
you say joints, because you're doing like max reps with max weight.
Those would be compound movements, bench press, squats, things like that, leg presses. But the functional stuff definitely helps prevent those types of pain and unnecessary injury because you're not max loading your body like that. You're doing body weight exercises, jump squats, things like that compared to barbell squats, you know?
No, that's what I noticed when I saw y'all's workout plans and different things. I'm like, okay, it's not those type of movements. It's for everybody.
Because there's different volume in how you can exercise and ways that you can, challenge your muscles. And not that any of them are necessarily bad. It's just you have to be respectful of your age, your condition, and what your goals are.
Right.
So are you designed to do CrossFit? Are you designed to do bodybuilding? Are you designed to do functional training,
Yeah.
Knowing your body type, knowing what's going to best work for your body type and what your ultimate goal is. And your longevity, how long are you planning to work out for, like at a consistent pace? You can't just do the same thing forever and perform the same way forever. Eventually your body's going to give out.
Yeah. Yeah, we have that same thing in jiu-jitsu. So you gotta adapt.
It's stages, it's process, it's doing it correctly and making sure that you don't overwork your body and not give yourself enough rest either.
Sure. And you have, the age group is wide, like here. Like, it's all over.
You'll see people, we're a 21 and up fitness club, so the youngest you'll see is 21. Yeah. But the average is about 35 to 45.
Yeah. But that's what I noticed. I noticed how even, from the youngest to the oldest, it's adaptable. They're able to still do most of all the movements the same, but it's just the weight and rep, right? And
just the variables in that. And, that's why it's always a smooth transition. We always set the workout up on the projector, and we go through each section, making sure that you understand how to do it. We group you typically with people in your same type of category. That way it's, as smooth as possible.
Talk about some stories from some of your members as far as, like,
success stories and things like that. Yeah. Definitely. We've had some that were just huge game changers. Like, for example, Christy, one of our members who we've had her on the news with us before, issues with her hip, nerve damage and cysts that she had to have removed, and that caused issues with her ability to walk. And we were able to rehabilitate that, work with her. She'd been with physical therapists. She decided to come full time and do personal training under me. And it was, again, in stages, process. Everything is a process. And she just wanted to be able to go up and down stairs. She wanted to be healthier and feel better about herself. Yeah. And so we worked with her. She was 66 at the time now. She did really, really well. It took us about 6 months of very, very slow pace, easing into it. The next goal was to get her to do group, which we got her to do group. from that point, I saw the dedication that she had and the success that she was achieving in that time frame. So we put her in a competition, one of our 6-week competitions, and she was actually the oldest competitor in that competition out of like 30 people, and she won. So that was, I mean, huge. Yeah. And that pretty much set the pace for the next year and a half for her here. And she's won another competition since then, and everybody knows her now. So she's a very motivating, and she's a great success story. Yeah. She's kept the weight off. She's a lot healthier, and I still follow up with her right now, making sure she's still doing stuff at home. Yeah. I have another girl right now, Heather, who also has done, I mean, outstanding. She's been with us now 6.5 months, and she's down 72 pounds. So she's done a really, really good job, and she's kept the weight, you know, at a steady pace. It's not just like a super strict diet and crazy amount of cardio to get the weight off, and then one of those things that the weight just comes right back whenever you stop doing that. She's actually been, you know, properly eating. We've both sat down and gone over her nutrition plan that's sustainable, something long-term, and we've done it the right way. And so it's worked fantastic for her. She's done a great job. But yeah, I mean, we have probably about 15, 20 really, really good success stories here, and that's like one of the the main reasons why we opened something like this up in the first place is to be able to change lives. Yeah. And honestly, during this pandemic, the main concern most fitness club owners would have is, what are my members doing since they're not here? Are they gaining weight? Are they eating poorly? What are they doing? Yeah. And I've personally called every single one of our members just to follow up with them, see how they're doing. And honestly, out of the number of calls that I reached out to, I would say 95% of our members are still working out, still eating clean, and most of them have actually continued losing weight. So it goes to show like what we're doing works. It's not just a quick gimmick and just quick fix, you know, it's something that people actually care and commit to. And I love that. I'm like, these are people that wouldn't have been doing this prior to meeting ALIO, you know? Yeah, no, it's inspiring because you see, because it's such a small classes, and you see like, and especially like they're so set to their time, right? Like some people they're stuck, they love their 5 a.m. Or they love their 6 or 9, and they still get up at 5 a.m. They don't have to go to work. You know, we have people that are retired that just they wake up 4:30 a.m. to get here by 5:15. Yeah, and they don't have to. It's just that's their routine. But you see that even in those groups, like they've got their friends, the ones that are always there, they show up. So it's kind of inspiring. You see them pushing each other. What is the one thing that after let's say when you expand and you get to that point where when you expand, you kind of have this fine medium of like, you're losing that personal touch because you're getting so bigger. Like, tell me like the one thing that you don't want to happen, like when you're looking at. Well, we haven't franchised because we don't want to become cookie cutter. We don't want to become conformed to having the same image, you know? Yeah. So we've wanted to stay local for that reason, and we've wanted to, if we open up multiple locations, to have our foot in each location so we know every single person we hire. We've trained them personally. We know that they're really good, and we want our image to be reflected with our employees that work with our staff. How would we treat them? This is how you're going to treat them. Yeah. And we're not going to be absentee owners where it's like, all right, let's just leave this place up and running and hope it works out. Like, we'll always be part of the picture in one way or another. So our main thing is to never lose touch. For one, we don't need to be the faces of the next expansion, but we need to be the heart of the next expansion. So we're always going to be there making sure that business-wise, our structure is an exact reflection of what we've always anticipated it to be. It's dope, man. No, I think it's a good plan, man. I see it, and I can't wait to see it. Once you guys open up the second part, man. What about family? Like you and your wife. Like, what is her involvement and Sam's wife's involvement? How do they support, not just with you, but like with the business? We support them as far as like what we want them to do and be happy with. Neither of them signed up to become trainers or gym owners, and we respect that. They were there for us from day one, making sure that, we had our attitudes correct, and that if things were hard, they were there for us. Yeah. But as far as them being part of the gym, like, they're not employees of the gym, for example. Yeah. they help us out. Like whenever we do our parties, like they're always first in line. They do all the decorating and they do a hell of a job.
Yeah.
That's all hard work.
Talk about those parties.
Oh, the parties, man. The parties are great. I mean, the main things are memories, right?
Yeah.
So we always have the best bartender we can get. We've done casino night twice. Sam loves gambling. That's his
Here
thing.
in the place.
Yeah, and that's what's cool is, we
Yeah.
hire out companies that have real dealers, real tables, play with real chips. And we set up, I think, 6 tables this last party. But, yeah, we'll have a DJ. We'll have a bartender. We top shelf drinks. We always try to, bring out the best for our members here.
Yeah.
A lot of gyms don't do parties for their members to begin with, yet alone the extensive and amount of time that goes into our parties. We go all out. We always set themes. That was disco night, which was the last one. So we had disco music going, and everybody was in outfits.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I went to the Christmas one.
The Christmas one, yep, that was another one. We rented out that back room of Torchies, and that was cool. That was a pajama party.
Pajama party, yeah.
We also did the Great Gatsby one. You didn't get to see that one. That was a year and a half ago. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Everything was 1920s.
That's cool.
We had,
I saw the pictures.
Yep.
Yeah, it was dope.
So, yeah, we've done a lot of cool stuff, man. Nothing that I would ever be ashamed of or would take back. Like, I think that everything we've done up until this point has been spot on.
Yeah.
And things change. It's hard to keep that right on track. But, shoot, we've done a good job of that.
Yeah. So, talk about I'm still stuck on kind of, there's a lot more stories in between from when you started and now. Like, give me a lesson that probably give me your biggest lesson that from when you started now till now, like.
Not to be selfish. That's my biggest lesson. Naturally, I've done a lot of things on my own. And so when partnering up with Sam, it was a lot of stepping back and putting ALIO first, not me first. Because I'm naturally selfish. That's just kind of my way of being, I'm not rude and try to take everything, but I've always looked out for me because I've always known, like, okay, this is where I want to go. This is what I've got to do. And I've always just put myself, like, first priority. And coming into this now it's not all about me. It's about Sam, me, and ALIO, and then making sure our wives are taken care of.
Yeah.
So he taught me a lot about that. And I was doing a lot of training when we first opened up, and we were paying ourselves the same. And even though he's doing a lot of desk work and a lot of computer work and all the business side, I'm looking at it as I'm doing most of the manual work. It's still, I felt like I was working more. I deserved more pay. Like, I was getting upset, and that was, like I said, the beginning was a little shaky because of that. So it was taking that and understanding our role and our position, and without his marketing, we can't grow. Without his ads, we can't grow. So not understanding that at first and just looking at, oh man, I'm over here busting my butt. I'm still training X amount of clients. He doesn't have any clients. Like, how is this fair? But it took a while to understand that, and that it's 50-50. It's down the middle. It's trusting the process. It's a lot of it's learning and being confident in your ability and stepping back, putting your pride aside and saying, you know what, like, okay, this is now my equal. I've got to trust what he says, and he's got to trust what I do. And if something doesn't feel fair at one time or at one point, like, you know what, like, he's got my back, I've got his back. There's been times where he's sick and he calls in and says, hey, I'm not going to make it in the morning. Can you run my classes? And without a hesitation, it's a yes, same thing, vice versa. If I want to go on a trip, he knows he's got that Thursday through Sunday covered. Same thing on the other end, Yeah. So it's always playing fair, and it's not about like, oh, you owe me, dude. Like, I covered for you last time, Yeah. We don't keep tabs on each other. And the old Danny would have kept tabs, I make sure it's fair, But we all play each other's role, and we look out for each other, and it's more of a family than a partnership, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest lesson I've learned, because that was a lot for me to just, okay, I've got to trust this guy and, make sure, because I'm used to people being selfish and taking care of themselves, and then me taking care of me, and there's no letdowns that way.
Sure.
You're like, all right, yeah, I assumed you were going to do that,
Yeah.
But he's extremely selfless, and coming across somebody selfless is hard, because you don't meet a lot of people like that,
Right.
It's always the opposite. Like, someone shoots a gun, you go running, and then it's like he would take a bullet for me. And so that's the kind of partnership it is.
Well, it's interesting. He's not here, but I went through his feed, and there was a post that he said about you that what stuck out to me was he said you were loyal. your loyalty was like there's nobody else like it, and I thought that was pretty cool, man, because I think that's one thing we talk about, something that people don't have, and you know what I mean.
Yep.
It's like the being down, whether it's going to be hard, whether it's going to be rough or whatnot, like this pandemic, like all that, like who you're in the foxhole with.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like you said, you got to be able to like have each other's back. So that's cool, man. I think that business in general, I mean, you've done this through just working out and bodybuilding and everything else. But like business in general is one, like a relationship or like a marriage.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's all learning.
Yep.
It's constant learning.
I mean, shoot, after 4 years, we're still learning, you know?
Oh, yeah.
No one teaches you how to run business during a pandemic.
Yeah. Or even like the build out. Like,
Yep.
you know what I mean? Like when you did
everything we did was like a first time.
Yeah.
And so when you open up a business, you get one time.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at not having the money to start something up necessarily, there's no room for error.
Right.
So when we designed this building, I mean, everybody can walk in, look at it, and be like, oh, that's pretty or that's cool. But nobody knows the actual science behind why we've designed it this way. Like, for example, we have speakers for the microphones. Mm-hmm. We have speakers for the music. We have to have the speakers for the microphones set lower than the speakers for the music, because then you wouldn't be able to hear us speaking over the music. Okay. So some people would never know that, and they could have all the speakers level, and then it's distorted whenever you're running a class. Right. That's something that, we had to think about before we opened up the business. Raising the ceilings up, for example, the wall. We project onto the wall. If we had left the texture on the wall prior to opening this gym, we wouldn't be able to project onto it because it would have distorted the image. So we had to smooth all of the walls out. We had to use it's a 4K like black diamond paint to put on the wall so that the image would reflect from it. You can't just do a regular black. It has to be a specific black. Huh. So it's a lot of things that we had to know prior to opening this, that just anybody opened up a gym that wouldn't take the time to research that wouldn't know those kind of things. Right. The lighting, they're floodlights. Mm-hmm. They're not just spotlights. We had regular bulbs in at first, and that was a big learning, curve for us because we don't know anything about lighting. We're not electricians.
Sure.
We put in all these lights, and then we had circles all over the gym, white circles, dark white circles. And then, it looked crazy. It looked like something out of space, but you can't work out in something like that. We needed to know how far these lights projected so that it would transition to where you see a white floor, and you don't see any circles. Right. So if you look around, everything is very smooth. That's because we had to set these lights out 17 feet apart from each other. And it's weird, but... Yeah. Sam and I are both OCD. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. And it's taking that time to really learn what you're going to be presenting and bringing to the table so that it's the best. Yeah. But, I mean, shoot, we did a good job. I mean, even our window tint, it wasn't even planned out, honestly. Like, it was funny because Sam was in Miami at the time, and I was in charge of getting the window tint, and the guys doing the window tint for us brought back the wrong film. And I already know, let down Sam, it's going to be an argument. So I was like, shoot, man. Like, the guy tells me, he's like, I have the wrong film. It's a chrome reflective mirror tint. And he says it's more expensive than the other tint you have. It's still a ceramic. He's like, it's still going to do the same thing, but it's going to look different. Yeah, it's going to be totally different because we wanted blacked out window tint. Mm-hmm. And I remember I called Sam up, and I was like, you're not going to like this. I was like, it's the wrong tint. But he's here, and I know you're out of town, and he can't get that other film for like a whole week, and we needed to get this up and going. We had just got the sign up on the wall. Okay. So he was like, do you like it? And I was like, oh, man, like I hate when you put it on me because I don't know, like, like I can't tell how it's going to look from the outside without it being on the windows. Right. And then this whole plaza, for example, nobody has chrome tint. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I don't even know if this is allowed. Oh, okay. Like they could easily just, after we just dropped $5,000 on window tint, say, hey, you need to rip this off. It's not allowed. Right. So I'm trying to find our lease agreement, and I'm like, oh, shoot, man, like this sucks. Like this really does. But it looks cool. And I'm like, it's like a mirror from the outside. You can see out into the parking lot from inside the gym, but from outside of the gym, you can't see anything except your reflection. It's like giant mirrors across the front of the building. Yeah. And so I was like, you know what, screw it. we're always about taking risks and being different. And the main thing was that's going to set us apart in this plaza, because anybody driving by is going to look. People look whenever their reflection is. That's just natural instinct. So we get people that look all the time, and it's like, oh, what's that, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's what I just told Sam, I was like, I'm going to pull the trigger on this and let's just go with it. He's like, all right, it better not be bad when I get back, man. He's like, that's on you.
Yeah.
So I was like, great.
But
dude, the window tint's like the coolest thing, in my opinion, because it is. It's like a freaking mirror.
It
Like, you can't get any
Yeah.
more cool than that.
That's funny because I have similar stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because for me, like I had never done that. I never done a build out before, and we didn't do a full build out. You know, we just did partial, but like we thought, oh yeah, we're just gonna put paint, do this, do that, and like you have a contract to do it. But then they're like, no, we need plans.
Right. You need everything.
We need this. We need to come down and say, and how do you want this? And then we're like, hey, we needed outlets, you know, like for your cable. And we're like, do we need them in every office? We're like, how many is that? They're like, oh, let's count. And then you're like, 30 freaking 40
you have
things.
to take the time to really do it, because once it's up, it's already too late.
Yeah, so it was just everything would just add up more and more. You're like, oh, it's not going to be just like that. So it's definitely a learning experience. What about when you're talking about the type of equipment and different, was it because you had that concept of the type of group training y'all were going to do, or?
Yeah. So our objective was group of 16, put each group into sections of 4. So we have 4 of everything. We have 4 cable crosses. Each section, we have 4 rowers, ski ergs. The only thing we don't have 4 of is just because of our size, is the Jacob ladders and the leg press machines. But squat racks, everything. I mean, we wanted to keep it as organized as possible. That way, when we do venture out into something bigger, we've already got something established to where it's a smooth transition. Yeah. But as far as the equipment quality goes, I mean, we've always reinvested into everything that we could to make this the absolute best experience possible. So everything in here is, for one, U.S. made. That's, to some people, means a lot. To us, it does.
Yeah.
And we've invested in Live Fitness, Rogue, Perform Better, Concept 2. All the best in the market. And I mean, shoot, we used it all for 4 years, and not one thing has broken. Not one single thing in this gym has broken on us yet. And it's used every day. Yeah. The latest investment we made was our Fit 3D scanner, which is really cool. It works off the DEXA scan. And what it does is it takes body measurements, head to toe, body fat percentage, lean muscle mass, gives you your BMR, and it tells you where your health score ranks based off of the accumulation of those numbers. Yeah. So it's a great way for us to analyze where you're currently at, and then give you goals so that you can physically and scientifically see your success with us at the gym. Yeah. And that's huge, because that's also made it a lot easier for us to judge for when we do our 6-week challenges, because now it's not just, oh, you're playing favorites. It's like, look at the results. You can see on paper what these actual scan results mean.
Yeah. So going off of that, because I know like every industry has their technology and the new stuff that's always evolving. You guys were talking about the app. Can you talk about that, or that's coming out, or is that something that's...
So the new app is, it's going to be exclusively for our members. And then our idea behind it is, like you said, about reinventing and staying on top of everything. When members needed to cancel in the future, or if they're moving but they don't want to lose a part of ALIO, they're going to still be able to have ALIO, because they can pay for the specific app that we're giving to all of our members right now for 90 days just for staying on board with us. That'll be like a secondary membership, so it'll be at a lesser cost, but they'll still have access to all of our workouts, things like that. It'll be interactive between us and the client, so they can still message us and ask us direct questions from it, and then we can make modifications to their program through the app itself, and it'll send it to your calendar. Every workout has a link to the videos that show you the exercises, so you know exactly how to do them. Yeah. We set the modifications, we set the pace, the rep range, everything specific for that person's needs, and then in the app, it also has a built-in timer. So if something's on a timer, all they do is press play. It goes through everything for you. I mean, everything's laid out. It's the #1 software in the world right now for fitness professionals. So yeah, we always, like I said, we do our research, we find the best that we can, and then we expose it to our members.
Sure. That's cool. I'm looking forward to that, actually. I forgot, I lost my train of thought. I was going to go from there to, so like I've been seeing a lot of other trainers and different, people that's online that do their own personal training and whatnot. And some of them are actually doing like live, whether they're doing like Facebook or Zoom or something like that, but they're actually going live. Have y'all thought about stuff like that, or?
No, only because of all the other things we're working on. So what we do is pre-record workouts. We've had a Instagram page specific for our members that shows you the different workouts of the day. We put out about 3 to 4 a week. We feel like that's enough to keep everybody still going. But no, we haven't done the online like face-to-face Zoom kind of things like that. That's just it's time-consuming for one, and for two, all of the memberships that people have continued to keep with us, those sessions are still in their account. So they're going to be right there when you come right back. So everything else that we're doing is just an extra perk. Okay. So we're not trying to subsidize like membership for online training. Like it's, you know what I mean? It's going to be different. We want to make sure that we take care of everyone when they come back and just hold them as accountable as possible meanwhile.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. I was thinking about that, and I was like, man, I wonder like just how other just fitness people in general, because like I said, what we talked about in the very beginning was where when we get out of this, like what's the consumer behavior, like what's going to happen, and then how do we react to that? You know?
There's goods to what we have to offer. For one, we're a boutique gym. For two, we've actually, this is a fact, we're like one of the cleanest gyms in San Antonio. We've had different health inspectors to come out and just kind of analyze where we're at. But we've always kept it tidy. So coming back, it's going to be twice as tidy. We have to make sure everything's extra clean. Policies, procedures, all that are going to have to change coming back into this, making sure that we keep regulations under control and make sure that everybody's healthy and safe. That's our number one priority coming back into this. But the best part about it is all of the big gyms, like corporate gyms, you know, Gold's Gym, Planet Fitness, all the big spots that typically get crowded and flooded out, I'm hoping that a lot of them will come to something smaller like this because they know it's going to be a lot more controlled, contained, and, you know, handled appropriately.
Right.
And so I feel like the masses at the bigger gyms are going to kind of scare people away coming back into this just because nobody wants to get sick.
Right.
And if you're working out in an open gym, you don't know who all these people coming in are, and it's different people every day. Here, it's the same faces. You know each other. I mean, and it's more courteous. Like, if you know you've been around somebody that could potentially be sick, you're going to be smart enough to not come and risk the safety of your other members because you know them.
Yeah.
So I think that being in consideration will be our strongest upholding for new memberships to arise and our previous members to come back and feel safe.
That's cool, man. No, I think I think that's going to happen. I really do. I think that it is different, and what y'all have created is different, and how you think is different. And I think it's what's kept y'all successful and always changing, and that's why I wanted to have you guys on. And
Appreciate it.
And that's why I'm a member.
There you go.
Any final thoughts, man, as far as like just this pandemic with just your growth plan and just anything that you want to say or talk about or just put out there as far as like for people, as far as, you know, keeping the mindset of moving forward and you know, not sticking the head, you know, in the ground and waiting for this thing to move.
That's the main thing, you know. It's always moving forward. That's the biggest thing. And if you're stuck at a thing like this, like a time like that, is how can you reinvent yourself, or how can you be creative to open up opportunities out of a challenge? That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. I didn't ask you, so how, and I probably know the answer, but how do you deal with stress?
Me? Well, it's funny. I usually bite my nails, right? Horrible habit. That's
okay.
And now I can't because so I'm like, oh, like, you know, I don't know. I bite my lip. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, stress, liquid medicine, man. A little bit of tequila here and there.
All right.
That's
like that.
Tequila, whiskey, that's our stuff, man.
Okay. Cool. Well, Danny, man, I appreciate your time. I appreciate the opportunity to sit down with you and kind of just let you, you know, tell your story. And, you know, wish Sam was here, but he couldn't be here.
He's here in spirit.
He's
man.
in spirit, man. He's definitely in this
He's
space.
working right now. He's finishing up our app.
That's
so
right.
We have to launch it in tomorrow, May 1st. So he's literally, everything has to be done by tonight, by midnight. And so that's what he's doing right now.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. I appreciate y'all's drive. I appreciate y'all's your mindset, your commitment, And I thank you, and I wish you guys the best of luck with everything, the expansion, and getting through these times.
Thank you, man. Appreciate those words. It means a lot to us, and you took the time to come out here and showcase us. That means a lot to us too. So very much appreciated.
Cool, man. Well, good luck with everything, and we'll see you soon.
You got it.
All right, man. Take care.